What's going on, everybody? This is Joel Picolo with Stone Real Estate and your guide for the greater New Orleans living. And I'm doing a video series that is super exciting. For this video series, I'm going to be interviewing local investors, and not only about what they invested in, but their everyday lives and how they balance those two things out. And for today's video, I have my wonderful cousin, Amandalynn Picolo. So Amandalynn, I'm gonna have you kind of talk about what you do for a living, about the business, and what got you into investing.
All right, so I'm the executive chef at Vessel NOLA, which is where we're at right now. I've been here for about 3 years. It's definitely been a wild ride being an executive chef through the pandemic, but we're making it through it and doing pretty well. I've been cooking professionally probably since I was about 18. I always had a passion for cooking as a kid. I mean, it's kind of hard not to, growing up in our family, to not love the food. But I ended up deciding when I went to college and computer engineering degree failed miserably, that I would cook instead.
Oh, don't be too sweet on yourself. Like, you don't want to cut in yet.
So I just, decided to go that route, and then went to culinary school and lived in DC, got my degree out there, worked in a different city outside New Orleans, came back, moved to the front of the house side for a while, worked in front of the house management for about 10 years altogether, and then returned back to the dark side. So, or the light side.
Or the light side. I mean, there's a lot of natural light, so I think
it's all relative, isn't it? You know?
It's all relative.
So, and now I ended up finding my way here, and that's what I do for a living.
That's right.
Yeah.
So tell us about the history about this building.
So this history is probably about 100 or so years old, maybe a little bit more. It was originally a Lutheran church.
Wow.
I believe a lot of this is all the original architecture. Anything that was new is added on to the back half of the church and is part of like the upstairs office area. Right. So, like, coolers obviously weren't here in 100 years ago, so that's obvious. It's about 100 and something years old. The property this is on was originally owned by the Baroness de Pontalba, who did the Pontalba Square.
Really?
Yeah, so this was part of her property as well, which is where that whole ghost story thing comes from.
Gotcha. So, I guess give us a little SparkNote version. Like, what's the
So the SparkNote version is that apparently this place is haunted. I don't know how true that is because I've never seen any ghosts.
Yeah, I know. I've eaten here a couple of times, and
it's usually the people who are overnight here who are like, oh, there's this freaky hooded figure, and then people have been like pushed downstairs by ghosts or maybe each other. I don't know.
While you're here?
No, not while I'm here.
Oh, okay.
There's just been like weird things that some of the workers can't explain. I have my own logical and science-based explanations, but I'm not going to rob anybody of their fun. So
that's what I love about Amandalynn. She is like just so technical. She's like, let's hit that with science.
But think you might be wrong. Yeah. But maybe.
And she says it just like that, like very sweet. Like, so you're like, okay, I might be wrong.
Consider the logic, So that's kind of the ghost history. That definitely comes into play in an old building. People are like, oh, the architecture, ooh, spooky, and it helps. It definitely, I will say, helps us drive business this way to a degree. Because people want to come see like the haunted church restaurant.
Yeah. So let's talk about you. Okay. So generally, people when they buy their first home, they go with single families, but you went the opposite direction.
Correct.
Why did you decide multifamily? I
decided multifamily because one, the amount of real estate out here that is multifamily is it's abundant. It's easy to find a lot of shotgun doubles or something of the like. And I've seen the family history of a bunch of our aunts and uncles have bought multi-property homes as well, and it really just helps to know that you have that investment in your pocket for your future,
Exactly.
Because you have that passive income, you have, it's not as like crunching on your soul. Crushing on your soul. So, crushing your soul, with worrying because a lot of people in the city, unfortunately, we live paycheck to paycheck. You know what I mean? Even with investment property, like some of us live paycheck to paycheck. Because you just you know, you save it what you can, and you buy the property, and then like that for a lot of people that might be the only investment they make is purchasing a home.
Right.
You know what I mean? And themselves. So I was like, even if it's the only investment that we make,
right.
I want to buy smart. You know what I mean? And so if you buy smart, to me, was buying a multi-property home.
Yeah.
Because a single-family home, like, yeah, you'll get equity, but it'll be years before you see any return on your investment with that. Whereas if you have a multi-property home, you start to see immediate return on your investment because you have a tenant who's living next to you, who can help, you know, pay some of your mortgage for you, you know, and it helps, you know, you help them by providing a home. And if you're like me, I'm very big on being like a good landlord and trying to fix the problems in a timely manner and making sure that they have all the care and comforts as I do, because I live next door. So if I live next door, I don't want people who hate me, you know. So if they have a problem, they're right there. I need to fix it, you know. Otherwise, I don't have tenants that live next door. And then, you know, in a lot of ways, my tenants, to me, because they live next door, become my friends. So, or I have had friends move in, you know, and be my tenants. And so it's nice to have somebody next door that you can, especially as busy as I am, where I can be like, hey, you want to hang out and have cocktails? You know, so.
So now you're a starting landlord, and what is some things that you would want, or what are some things that you wish you would have known before you started that now you do know?
You know, inspections can only take you so far to like the wear and tear of your property. It's hard because like the first year of our property, like just one thing after another, and I was like, is this the money pit? Where's Tom Hanks? You know?
Tom Hanks is over there. Like,
so it's like, you know, once you get past that hump of the first year where you try to like fix the things that you think are wrong, you know, because all too often, like, you buy a place and you're like, oh, I'm going to do all of these things. Like, first of all, you need to realize to yourself, pump the brakes, sweetheart. You got to, like, this is like a big ass pizza and you need to like take it out one bite at a time. You know, you can't fix everything at once, because one, you'll burn yourself out, especially if you have a full-time job, and then hiring contractors out to do stuff. You really have to like pick and choose what you do. You know what I mean? Like, I am a big DIYer, you know, and I've had to like roll back on that and be like, you know, maybe we're not going to do this whole repair right now. We're going to hire somebody. Like, our fence is down from Hurricane Zeta. I'm not about to do a fence right now. I just can't, you know, between working and then other reasons. Like, so you really want to piecemeal what you are going to like, what is like a high priority for you to tackle and what's not, you know? And for me, like, the high priority was really like the bathrooms, because they were just, they didn't match the rest of the property to me, you know? So that's one of the things I wish I like would have, like, if I had that to do over again, I would have like immediately addressed the bathrooms and not waited, you know? And like had to do them like over a year, because it would have been, and I would have probably hired a contractor to do it, just so I didn't have to worry about it, you know? Because I did one bathroom and a friend of mine did the other, and they looked identical and they looked great, but man, was that hard to get in that tub in myself.
So from my understanding is that you wish you would have like had a better game plan of like knowing what's a priority and what's not a priority.
So like, I think anytime you buy in a new investment property, you want to like prioritize your list of what you want to accomplish first, and then really budget and game plan for that, because it's really easy to get yourself in like a financial hole where you're like, or run up your credit card bill where you're like, oh, we need to fix this, we need to fix this, we need to fix this. And you absolutely want to do that with an investment property, especially if you're renting out one side. Like, our tenant side looked nicer than our side, for sure. You know what I mean? Because I was like, we gotta fix it. And you know, if you have a tenant that lives there at first, I wish I would have been able to like talk to those tenants at first. And then like really be like, hey, I'm going to be buying your property and I need to look at it, and I have like, I'm going to be fixing these A, B, C, and D. Like, and kind of like not really giving them a choice, because I had tenants that had, when I first bought the property, and I was like, hey, I'd like to come fix stuff. It's like, no, we're fine. And I should be like, no, I'm going to come fix this. You know what I mean? Because then when they moved out, it was like a mad rush to get it
fixed,
made ready for the next tenant. So I wish that would have been different too.
So what would you say are the things that should be a priority for any first-time investor?
A priority is definitely making sure that what you're going to provide to your tenants as a landlord is going to be like what you would be proud to rent, you know? Because when I moved in, and when I bought the property and we moved in, and the tenants were like, they're kind of a little strange in the way they were used to. They were used to the old landlord. You know what I mean? So they were very like, we don't know how to approach this landlord, I guess, and they were very much used to her.
Yeah.
And so she seemed very hands off, and that's fine, you know. But I was not. I live next door.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a learning curve for them, and yeah, I don't know if I would want to start off with tenants right away unless like I had like gotten a chance to meet them.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't really get a full chance to get to know them until we'd like bought the property and like moved in, because you just don't know.
Yeah,
That's
you
all.
really
It's hard to know, like, you know, especially if you're living next door to them. You know, they were fine. You know, while we were there, like the year.
Yeah.
But like that's very much like a hit or miss situation. You're not always guaranteed to have like decent tenants when you buy an investment property.
Oh yeah, once either you or somebody moves out of a house, like you realize like, oh wow, I need to fix this, I need to fix that.
Yeah.
No, so I definitely understand. So talking about tenants and like getting them now used to the new landlord. So now that you had those old tenants on and got new tenants in, what would you recommend for future landlords having those conversations with tenants about like you're the new landlord?
I would just, you know, you want to be aware of people's situations, but you have to be fair. You know what I mean? You can't come in. I feel like you can't come in when you own a property and be like, you have to get out, you know, immediately. Also, you can't sit there and like, when their rent's $900 or something, go ahead and shoot it up to $1,500 and then like, you know, price them out of their home.
Yeah.
You know, you need to give them an opportunity at least to be like, hey, because we definitely raised the rent after we bought the property, but we didn't raise it by like more than $50, you know?
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, you know, we're going to raise this rent but we're also going to make sure that we provide A, B, C, and D, you know? So like, that's kind of where we were. There was also things that weren't disclosed to me when we bought the property. That was a previous agreement with the old tenant landlord situation. Like I didn't even like, we had this weird like cozy.com like lease agreement that didn't have any of the terms that the tenant was like, well, we had these terms. I was like, well, it's not on my lease agreement.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll honor them because like I don't want to poke the bear, you know. but at the same time, you know, like she's not your landlord anymore. I am, and I probably wouldn't do that, you know?
No, okay.
So like Wi-Fi was included for them, like off of our Wi-Fi network.
What?
Yeah, it was really some strange things. Another thing I would say is make sure that anytime you buy a multi-property unit, you want to make sure that you provide some form of security for your tenants as well. Like there was no cameras of any sort, you know? So that definitely will help too. Providing at least like cameras on property, because you don't want when you are liable for something, you don't want to be held liable for something when you could just as easily have a camera on your property and be like, nope, that didn't happen. Nope, you're wrong.
Nope, I have video.
Yeah, we have video of this. So
no, that's great. So when it comes to, so obviously like you were talking about, when you got in there was a lot of stuff that you weren't planning for to repair. So for you, like, how do you save for those kind of rainy days? Like, how would you recommend people should save for that?
Well, have a pandemic and get
Get stimulus checks.
Get stimulus checks. Save them. No, I'm joking. Sort of. I'm sort of joking. You know, just you want to take a little bit of like your every week or your bi-weekly paycheck or however you get paid. You want to like decide with yourself that you're going to dedicate a portion of that, whether it be like $50, $100. You know, you really want to try to like. Yes, you buy your property and you have your down payment, right? Mm-hmm. Do not blow your entire load of your savings on your down payment. You will have unforeseen things that pop up when you buy your property within the first year. Yes. So I would save at least $2,000 on top of your down payment to make sure that, oh crap, I need to fix this AC unit. Or, oh crap, the vent pipe is busted and is leaking all over the driveway. Or, oh crap, the plumbing from the street to the house is bubbling up from the grass and there's a huge pool of water, and then you have to spend $450 because it's not covered by your insurance because it's like outside your property. It's outside of your house, but it's on your property and it's leading to the street. It's a water main just bubbling up. And so that's $500 to $700 that you did not think that you would have to spend, and then you find that you do, and then you're like, oh crap. Oh crap. Yeah. So I would definitely make sure that you have a little bit, at least $2,000 of a cushion to make sure that you within your first year, like, okay, you know. And
Right.
another thing that I would recommend with investment properties, especially if you have a tenant situation, is make a separate bank account, put your deposits and your first month's rent in that bank account. That way you always have that money. Don't spend it on anything, don't borrow against it, don't use it for anything but returning the deposit if you have to, because there's nothing wrong with your property.
Yeah.
And making sure that you have at least a month's rent in case, you know, you don't have a tenant for a month because you're working on fixing the property.
Yeah.
You know, those are things that I would definitely recommend for any future investors, is you want to have cushion money. You want to have your $2,000 at least of cushion money for emergency repairs. And then when you get your deposit and your first month's rent, like, you want to sit on that and make sure you save that in case something happens. That way you have a buffer for if you lose your tenant and you have to give them the deposit back, and then you have buffers of like, okay, there's $2,000, I need to use this to fix the property.
Right.
So another thing I would recommend is when you buy a property, usually if you have a good real estate agent, they'll make sure that you have a home warranty in place as well for at least the first year. That'll be included in your closing costs.
Yeah.
And then they'll send you an update of like, hey, would you like to renew your warranty? And most people are like, I don't need this. You do need that, because I will tell you that home warranty has saved my butt so much time financially. Like, the AC unit is getting fully replaced. All I have to do is pay for $240 for the disposal fee of both of the units that they're replacing.
Wow. So instead of paying $4,000 to $5,000, you're paying
$240, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's $80 a month, and it covers both sides of the property.
Yeah.
And so it's like, even if it, in the long run, like, I couldn't pull out a loan for $4,000 and pay that low.
Yeah.
You know, it just.
Well, see, it makes more sense to do a home warranty, especially on a multifamily, because you have a tenant.
Right.
They don't necessarily care about like keeping the property up. Maybe if they're good tenants, but most of the time they don't. So that makes complete sense on why you got a home warranty.
Plus, you can fold the cost of the home warranty into your tenant's rent.
Yep.
Because it's something that you're going to use on that side anyway.
Correct.
And so, like, we also offer, we cover water, we cover the pest control, and I fold in this warranty cost into the amount of rent, you know? So yeah, like, I might charge you $1,200, anywhere between $1,200 to $1,400 to rent my property, but you also don't have to pay your water bill because I handle that. You don't have to pay for any pest control because I handle that. And like, if anything breaks, I'm not gonna sit there and like sit on it and wait for, I'm not gonna not fix it because I have a home warranty.
Boom. Well, Amanda, thank you so much for your time and everything. I know you're busy, and thank you for all your knowledge, especially for people who are looking to buy their first home.
Absolutely. It's definitely worth it. You know, you should definitely, if you're considering buying, I know another thing I can say is when I was considering buying, I called like 5 years prior to be like, I was like, I'm gonna buy a house, and then like got a rude wake up call. It's like, you need to fix your credit, and you need to have this much down, and blah 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 blah. And I got super angry about it. I was a little butthurt. But then I was like, you know, when I went to like a first time home buyer seminar, and I was like, got a lot more information about like what the steps are, who you need to talk to, what comes first. You know, a lot of people think, oh, I'm gonna buy a property, like it's like a chicken or the egg situation. But really, like, people think, oh, I'm gonna get a real estate agent and start looking at houses, but they don't have any of their funding in place. They don't have a, what's the word, a pre-approval letter saying how much they qualify for. So people are like, oh, I'm gonna hire a real estate agent and buy property. You can't do that. You have to go and find a loan officer first that's willing to like get you to the point where you have a pre-approval letter, and then you can find the real estate agent. You know, and often those people all work in like a team, so you'll have you'll have your funding person, and they'll already work on a team, but like, you're not tied to that. You know, you can use whoever you want to fund your loan and whoever you want to be the real estate agent, and they can usually come to a consensus on who they want to use for your title. But one of the first people you need to choose is who's going to do your loan for you first. Because then you get a pre-approval letter, and then you find Joel Picolo, a Godwin and Stone Realty, and he'll hook you up.
Well, thank you so much for
You're welcome. Gotta get that plug.
Stole my line. So, no, thank you so much, Amandalynn. Well, that's it for today's video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you would like to see more videos like this, please let me know. Amandalynn, would you like to give a shout out to your social media?
Want to see what we're cooking over here? You can follow us at Vessel NOLA.
Awesome, everybody. Well, that's it, and y'all have a wonderful day. Bye.